Welcome to the Sushi Cast. I am your host.
Wait, Christopher.
What?
This isn't the Sushi Cast. This is Poe-Cast.
This.
We have several Poes listening to the Poe-Cast, and all of a sudden they're getting sushi. I mean, sushi's good. Most people like sushi, but Sushi Cast?
The show's not about sushi? I thought everybody liked sushi.
Well, not everybody likes sushi. I can name about people on one hand that don't like sushi, but
Exactly, one hand.
One sushi-filled hand coming to you, sushi haters. Eat it! Deadpool force feeds them sushi! Ah! Nom, nom, nom.
See, I told you this was the Sushi Cast.
It's Deadpool force feeds sushi to the sushi haters cast. Have you seen that little meme of Deadpool and Captain America being compared? And it's like, even though they share differences, Captain America is always mindful to his fellow vegetarians, and it shows this lovely picture of Captain America handing a bag full of vegetables to these people. And it says Deadpool just force feeds him meatloaf, and it shows this guy tied to a chair, and Deadpool's shoving meatloaf down his mouth.
Oh, good grief.
It's like, eat it! You want more! No offense to any of my vegetarian friends out there, or vegetarian Poes. Okay, hello, and welcome to the Poe-Cast. I'm Benjamin.
And that was our April Fool's joke. Yes, we know April 1st was a while ago.
It was a while ago, but
that's why we transported you back via audio TARDIS to April Fool's Day. And it's also an excuse for me to, indulge in sushi on the show, even though I don't have any sushi with me.
I know, I want sushi
it's
too.
Very sad. I want sushi! So, Benjamin, did you know that sushi was originally really a peasant's food?
I knew rice was was kind of a peasant's food, but I didn't know sushi.
Actually, rice was eaten by everybody.
Well, rice, of course.
And rice was, the really good, white rice was the high-class food. But the thing is that the peasants actually were getting more nutrients than the upper class, because the upper class had their rice polished, which took off the brown outer shell, which is where most of the nutrients are, which is why you hear different historical reports of Japanese officials. Like, there was one Japanese official who was so pious that he basically would only eat white rice and was, devoiding himself of all worldly pleasures like exercise and stuff like that. So he actually got really sick, and then he went even more ascetic because he was getting sick, and then he got sicker because he had nutrient deficiency.
Yeah,
so that's why you should eat
so far,
sushi and rice.
Sadly, that's my main diet here at Lindenwood, because all the other food just messes up my intestines.
Sushi or white rice?
White rice.
White rice is delicious.
It is delicious. But it's kind of sad that that's the only thing that doesn't mess up my stomach.
I have a sensitive stomach, too. I totally understand it.
Yeah.
So,
I ended up going to a lovely little place called Jacob's Cave. I've been going there since I was about, 2, 3. Since before I could walk.
Yeah, seriously.
No, it's a lovely little place. It's in Versailles, Missouri. It's one of the biggest swap meets, or to people who don't know what a swap meet is, it's pretty much a flea market.
Yeah.
It's a big, huge gathering. I should take you there sometime, Christopher. I think I've talked to you about it.
You've been saying this for years, and it's just never worked out. Granted, how busy are the two of us?
Oh, yeah, this is true. I didn't realize I was going until my dad was shaking me at 3 a.m., like the normal time to get up to Versailles. He's like, hey, come on, we're going to Jacob's Cave. I was like, oh, okay.
Right. And that's why I was so confused. And you're like, I've got a truck. And I'm like, what? What's going on?
Before I go into that,
where did you get these things that you're about to talk about?
Well, Jacob's Cave used to have a lot of like exotic animals and stuff, but recently it started turning into a junk sale. Now I say junk in a loving term because there's what one man's junk is another man's treasure.
Exactly.
And I spent $1.50 out of my own pocket yesterday, and I ended up actually finding $1 on the ground, so I really only spent 50 cents yesterday.
Yay!
Yesterday, yeah, yesterday. And hey, Christopher, guess what time it is?
Oh no!
But yeah, I ended up getting my hands on I got 3 little neat things. There's like this little bulldozer for 25 cents, and this dune buggy for another 25 cents, and then I found this pickup truck for $1. They're all tiny and plastic and just rightly sized for my orcs. So
fantastic.
Oh yeah, so by the time the semester ends, or at least by the end of summer, I'm going to have a grot tank and 2 war buggies. I have so many fun plans. I mean, the tank's going to be a tank. I mean, it's just a tiny tank with a little grot sticking his head out. And tomorrow, I am probably going to go to the fantasy shop, see if they still have that lovely Imperial Guard helmet. I'm going to put it on one of the grots, so he's got this oversized helmet. He's poking his head out the tank. He's like, charge! And the Dune Buggy is just going to be a Dune Buggy orc style, you know, a bunch of orky stuff on it. And I'm going to put a sidecar on it with this little grot with a machine gun. He's just like, he's just wildly shooting it. And the gun's pretty much, the recoil of the gun is what's aiming it. He's not actually aiming. He's just holding the trigger. He's like, ah! And the pickup truck, I don't know why, I've always been fascinated by, you know, in the movies, the terrorists always had that pickup truck with like the M50 in the bed, and it's kind of pointing over the cab. That's pretty much what I'm doing, but except with orcs, and instead of a M50, or in an orc's case, a shooter, he's going to have a rocket launcher. He has a mounted rocket launcher. He's just like, and the driver's driving the car. You know, in the action movie when the guy leans out the window and aims his pistol, that's what the driver's doing. He's not actually focusing on driving. He's leaning out, aiming things, and shooting. And there's, you driving this thing? He's firing rockets, and the driver's like, totally driving it. He's reaching over with his foot and steering it as he's leaning, like laying across the seats, leaning out, firing this pistol. And I want to get the little grots who are swinging their chain balls from the fantasy. Yeah. I'm going to cut off the iron balls and glue them to the truck so it looks like that the truck had just gotten lowered out of the factory, and then he drove off, and one of the chains was still attached with this poor little grot holding on. He's like, no! He's swinging. It's careening to the battlefield.
So much yes.
So many plans, but we'll see how that turns out when I actually start working on them. But I mean, hey.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Also, segueing at Orky time, I finally figured out Big Mac Iron Nuts' place in the universe.
Yeah.
So, essentially, what's happened is War Boss Fragbutt was going around doing his stuff, and he ended up coming across this clan, which I'm still trying to find a name. I don't know if I'm going to call them the Red Gobs or the Blood Gobs or the Redheads. I don't know what I'm going to call them yet. But essentially, they're orcs with a red color scheme, because I was thinking, you know, my orcs really need something red. But I don't want my black tigers to have them. So, Fragbutt went to war with this clan. And orcs fighting orcs, not uncommon if anyone's like, wait, what? No, they totally fight each other all the time. Just go with it.
They're just like humans.
Yeah, they're worse than humans. But they're fighting, and eventually Fragbutt ends up killing the war boss. And Big Mac Iron Nuts, who's kind of he said something, he likes being in charge, but he likes not being the face of who's in charge. So he's sitting on the side, he's in his wheelchair because he lost his legs, and he's like, I got an idea. And he rolls up to Fragbutt, he's like, hey, guess what? Now I'm in charge, and we surrender. We will totally build you machines of war and stuff if you let us live. And Fragbutt's like, awesome, you're part of my clan. And then Iron Nuts is like, wait, what? I don't really want to be part of. Fragbutt's like, too bad, and pulls him on, and they're all on board. And then they start taking all the stuff.
I totally imagine Fragbutt just like coming behind him and grabbing the handles to the wheelchair, but like, too bad. And Iron Nuts,
pretty much.
I can't get away.
Yeah. You see the little grappling arms that he has, the extra octo arms are trained to grab Fragbutt, and Fragbutt just keeps running.
Fragbutt's just like, ah, ah,
ah, ah. I have a mastermind. And eventually, the orcs start getting into a slight civil war, except it's very subtle. Because they hold of all the vehicles from the Redheads, which is their nickname,
Yep.
And the black tigers start repainting them black tiger colors. And then the redheads are like, no, you don't touch my truck. And they start repainting it back to the old colors, and the black tigers start painting it back to their colors, and they're back and forth trying to paint over each other's paint. And finally, Frag Butter, Big Man Ironus is just like, stop! And then they all leave the paint alone right where it is. I mean, you got some that are completely black tiger color scheme. You have some that are completely redhead, but then you have some that are just kind of spliced in between. You have like a redhead that has some stripes on it. It's like, okay.
I really, really like the idea of having your orc army be like two competing color schemes.
Mm-hmm.
That actually sounds really, really cool.
I can't wait to actually do it.
Right, yeah.
That's actually inspired by a story from my dad. I told you my dad was in the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in the Navy, and he worked on planes. And he was stationed up in Alaska this one time.
Okay, I have to say, I know, but to me, as a thoroughly non-military person, a Navy person working on planes just makes me giggle. It just makes me giggle in a loving, happy way.
Happy way. Well, he was.
I know. I have probably alienated every military friend that I have.
He was on a crew for P-51, I think, for a while. That was when he was in Woodby. Washington.
Okay, now you. Well, no, we'll save that. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
That was just him searching for Russian submarines. But
right. But we'll talk about Woodby in a minute.
Woodby. Gotcha. Yeah, that's another tip of the hat. But the paint story. So, the Orcs paint war is inspired with the story my dad told me. And like I said, he was stationed up in Alaska. And Americans and Canadians are pretty good buddies. And the Canadians would sometimes land their planes in the American air bases. In this one case, there was a blizzard. And the Canadians had landed to kind of stop and refuel and just buddy up. And then they couldn't take off because of the blizzard.
Yeah.
So they ended up moving out some American planes out of a hangar and moving the Canadian planes in. Just common courtesy. And my dad had been ordered with this team of painters to repaint the fighters, and I'm making up a hangar name in this case, in hangar AB-1. So he goes to hangar AB-1 and gives the two fighters a complete new paint job. And he gets up the next morning, and he has his CO standing out there, and he's like, CO adjunct. He's like, CO wants to talk to you. My dad's like, oh, crap, what'd I do? And he goes in there, and the two Canadian pilots are standing there with their arms crossed. CO. And the CO's like, sit down. So you want to tell me what happened last night? You think this is funny? And he's kind of like, what happened? He's like, well, you went and completely repainted with your team 2 Canadian planes to American colors. And the Canadians just started laughing. They couldn't keep it in because they thought it was hilarious. All this was an accident, but they decided to frame it up to make it look like he was in trouble. But it started something. The next time that some American pilots were patrolling over in Canada and they ended up getting forced down to land in a Canadian airbase, they came back with the maple leaf and green colors on their plane. And then this continued. Every time one had to land on the other, they just repainted the stars and stripes over the maple leaf and the maple leaf over the stars and stripes and just sent it back and forth. And
I totally hope that this thing is still going on.
I'm actually really curious. I kind of want to talk to my dad and be like, hey, could you give me that base's number? And I could just call and be like, hey, this is going to sound really weird, but my dad worked there a long time ago, and he accidentally started this thing, so could you tell me if it's still going on?
I'd love to find out if that's still going on, because that is a great story.
That's a great story, and I mean, I kind of, if it's still going on, it'd be kind of funny to see this Canadian, repaint the planes. So tell me, why did we do this again? Oh, they paint our planes. I know, but Oh yeah,
That's not really how they sound, but
I know it's not how they sound, but I can't do a Canadian accent, but. Oh, you were saying Woodby. There was this base my dad worked at. It was Woodby in Washington, and I decided to name my Lord Commissar, which I still haven't gotten because I haven't started my Imperial Guard army. I decided to name him Commander.
Have you talked about that? You're going to be starting an Imperial Guard army?
I think I talked about it.
I don't think you have. Let's just go over it again in case you haven't.
Okay, in case I haven't, I was thinking about starting in addition to the Nurgle army, but that's another
Exactly.
story.
You got 3 armies now. Are you insane?
I
was...
finished this episode, Christopher.
We finished that episode. Okay. Imperial Guard.
Imperial Guard. So I kind of decided I wanted to do an Imperial Guard army just because they were cool and militaristic, and I kind of like the idea of these normal humans with guns and bayonets charging these super demons and these demons and these super gene weapons and orcs and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna call them the Exiled 66 because Lord Commissar Woodby ended up getting abandoned, and they left for dead, and he ended up getting ragtag remnants of the Imperial Guard and reassaulting, and essentially formed an entirely new battalion, deliberately, but without the Emperor's approval. So it was to kill heresy, and he was pretty much said, we're going to execute you, and he's like, no, we're fighting for the Emperor. They're like, in that case, you're exiled. You can still fight for us if you want, but you're not going to have any support whatsoever. So that pretty much means they're going to be fighting alongside, I'm going to say, this is the Steel Legion, and the Steel Legion's going to have this tank that's had the crap beaten out of it, and pretty much Commander Woodby's going to run up with some food. He's been like, hey, I will give you these for that tank. Everyone's pitched in their rations for that tank. They're like, well, we don't want it. We'll take it for half of that. And Woodby's like, that's great. Hey, guys, we got a tank. Let's fix it. So they're the exiles, and they pretty much take the leftover remnants for any battalion that was wiped out all but 3 or 4, etc., and any leftover tank they find on the battlefield. I mean, they're probably going to use some orc stuff that they find, or maybe not orc. They're pretty much going to be orc looters, except Imperial Guards more refined.
Yeah, orc stuff, honestly, I think would be the easiest to
if they could figure out how to fly it.
Well, I think that their tech would be the easiest to take over, because, I mean, Tau tech and Eldar tech is pretty different.
You have to understand, orcs are pretty much custom make it for each of themselves.
Yeah.
So not each control panel acts the same.
Yeah, but if you got a skilled tech, they can figure out how to yank it apart.
You don't have a guidebook for every time you're handed orc tech.
Okay. Hey, have you seen that they've changed the name of the Imperial Guard? They're starting to use the Latinate.
I did see that. I don't like it.
Okay.
It's cool that they're using the Latin and all, but I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, I totally get you.
Sorry, Pose, I'm eating chips in your ears.
Hey, it's a thing. We've warned them all the way back at the pilot episode that we're going to be eating on this show.
I'm eating.
I mean, it's finally happening. One of these days, I will have sushi on the show.
Well, we kind of did that one time.
We did for
The Hobbit.
For The Hobbit.
Hobbit recap,
yeah, that was fun.
So, what did you do this weekend, Christopher?
I burned myself.
Literally or figuratively?
Literally sunburned.
Oh, sunburned, okay.
I am in pain.
I'm sorry. How did you burn yourself?
Well, I went to an SCA event, and for those who don't know, the SCA is the Society for Creative Anachronism. Basically, Ren fairs and stuff like that. It's that, but it's a private, well, not really private society.
It's a club.
It's a big, big worldwide club where a bunch of people who love different aspects of the Middle Ages just get together and do fun stuff. And yesterday... What was that?
I was gonna say but then again, we've covered that. They can go back to the other episodes and see what we covered.
Like what? Which episode? What do you mean?
I think we talked about SCA the 3rd or 4th episode, but you gave them a good recap.
I don't think we talked about the SCA before.
Okay, then forget it. I didn't say that. Like what, Christopher? What would they be interested in?
All kinds of things. Yesterday was the Spring Spears tournament that my local shire, Kalanish-Nuwa, put on. Kalanish-Nuwa is part of the Kingdom of Kalantir, which comprises Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, and Nebraska. And a little itty bitty type of, a little itty bitty bit of Arkansas. That's a fun story for another day. How we acquired Grimfells, I think it's called. I'm sorry, Grimfellians, we love you.
I take it that was a very tough battle where the, where did you call them? The Gritholians were very butthurt by the end of it? Or were we the ones, or, well, I say we, Calantir, the ones who were butthurt trying to acquire it?
Calantir, okay, it was at a foreign war. And, I think it's the Kingdom of Glenabin, put up, hey, we'll fight over territory. You'll get the Shire of Grimfells if you win. Calantir being Calantir, who worked together, won. They were like, hey, cool, we'll fight you. Fight us and win it back. And they're like, nope, you got it. Bye. And we're just like, oh. So we've had that little bit of Arkansas for like ever now. Anyway, so Spring Spears, my local shire does 2 events per year: Spring Spears and Autumn Arrows. Nice little whatchamacallit. I can't remember the term. See, I cannot brain. I has the dumb.
That word.
That word. You know what I'm talking about, literary.
I had that moment today. Did you see that video I posted of Jim Cummings?
Yes.
Oh, for those of you who don't know, Jim Cummings, the voice of Winnie the Pooh, he and another actress did a dramatic reading of Star Wars with Jim Cummings reading Darth Vader as Pooh Bear. I
have not yet brought myself to watch this.
Oh no, watch it. It's funny. It's not like Disney said do it. They were like, this would be funny.
Okay. But anyway, I am not much of a fighter. The big activity that the SCA is kind of known, the face of the SCA is heavy fighting. These are the guys who go out there with their big shields and their big rattan weapons, which basically is like a bamboo that isn't hollow. So, because if you went out there with bamboo, it just go and crack. But this is solid bamboo, and they wrap it in duct tape, and they go out there and they whack at each other. And there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, there's a lot of skill that goes into heavy fighting. But I personally don't care for it because they're hitting really hard. It's just not for me. I tried it, got an armor, swung some stuff around, got hit. Wasn't for me. My type of fighting is the light fighting, what's called cut and thrust. Live steel fighting. Basically, this is fencing. We're going for a tap. But that's a lot of fun because it's really, really different than the heavy fighting. And it was fun. A couple of the a local heavy fighter from the Shire tried it for the first time, and he said, this is really fun. It's a really, really different. But it's really fun. And it was kind of cool. I'm getting into some more stuff and making friends. But anyway, what I do in the SCA is I'm a herald. And heralds do 3 things. They shout. So what I was doing all yesterday was standing outside in the sun, shouting out who would fight who next. So helping with the list table, keep the tournaments going, and that was really fun. And fighters seemed to have a really good time. It was a perfect day for fighting. I was stupid. I didn't wear a hat or sunscreen, so I am flaming red. But I had loads of fun. Anyway, the other 2 things, I've actually become the official herald for my group.
Ooh, that's cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I actually am an officer for the group, so I have a quarterly report paperwork to make in the next week.
That's fun.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. There's like nothing's happened.
Okay.
Anyway, so...
And the weekly report? Nothing. Continue fighting!
The other two things that heralds do, basically they're divided into book heralds and voice heralds, and I do both. Book heralds deal with designing and researching your coats of arms and your names. And basically that was the first thing I did when I joined the SCA was I researched and submitted my coat of arms and my name, and I now have both of them registered. So, yay! It took me about a year to do, 6 months to a year. I think 6 months to research and 6 months to actually go through the whole process of getting everything passed. So generally, a person should be able to get their pieces of armory submitted in a year. And what not a lot of people know is that you can actually have up to 6 pieces of armory, which could be coats of arms. You can have multiple of those. Badges, like if you wanted a personal badge or a household badge. And 6 different names, if you want to have different personas, or if you wanted to, say, make households. So I probably will eventually register about 3 personas and coats of arms and leave the other 3 for household badges. Maybe 3 names and 2 or 3 personal armories. I think I might like to have a personal badge and then maybe some household badges. And you can always, get rid of stuff that you're not using. So there's no reason not to. I mean, heraldry is one of the things that it is pay to play. Granted, if you go to an event, you got to pay a little bit of a site fee. But the heraldry, you have to actually pay like $8 per item, because there are so many people that have to deal with the paperwork of actually getting it basically copyrighted within the society for only you to use.
Okay.
So, actually, I'm going to be one of the few officers who does handle money, and that's going to be interesting.
Fun.
But I'm really excited. Yesterday was a ton of fun because I just got to hang out with friends, watch the fighting, help out with that. The fighters were really appreciative.
Fun stories?
I mean, not anything like stories, but the fighters just had a really fun time, and a couple of them, I'm getting to know some of the fighters, and they're starting to know me, and they were kind of really appreciative that I was there and doing the heralding, and I mean, it was a lot of fun. I was watching their Graces, Duke Oswald and Duchess Kay, doing some of the live steel fighting, and they answered a bunch of questions, and it was really nice. They were really, really helpful and really, really friendly, and I'm really hoping to get into live steel fighting because that is exactly what I want to do. And besides, I kind of want to fight in the SCA. I just don't want to do the heavy fighting.
I was like, I want to do some heavy fighting, but I would probably get snapped in half.
I think you should at least try it. I mean, I'm glad that I put the armor on and tried it.
I mean, let's face it, I'm going to be like Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai. That scene where he gets his butt kicked and he just stands back up, and then he gets his butt whipped again, and he stands back up, and the samurai's just like, stay down! I mean, he's saying in Japanese, of course, but he just beats Tom Cruise to a pulp until finally he just is unconscious and can't get up.
Okay, so Last
That's
Samurai.
gonna be me.
You've seen the movie The Last Samurai.
Yeah.
It's in Japanese.
Well, I mean, there's parts where they speak Japanese.
Okay. I've actually been watching a lot of Japanese movies recently. I did watch the new movie from last year, 47 Ronin. It actually wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
Well, that's good.
But I have come to the conclusion that if you're going to do a movie set in medieval Japan, they have got to be speaking Japanese. It felt so weird for them to be speaking English.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a rule in theater when you're doing a play. Sorry, my mouth's full, Pose.
Okay.
If you're doing a show, you do it in English, even if you're in Russia, blah, blah, blah. I mean, personally, I think you should do accents, but they have a reason for it, because if you do a show in America, and then some Italians come in, and they start speaking Italian, people aren't going to understand what their most audience members aren't going to understand what they're saying. But if they come in and start speaking with the English accent, you're going to have no idea they're Italian. But if they come in and speak with an Italian accent, then you get it.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing.
There's some moments where they kind of speak Italian, but it's moments where you shouldn't know what they're saying.
Right.
And you're just like, wait, what?
Exactly. There was that was one of the things that when we did Tale of Two Cities, we were very specific on, is that the English people would do English accents, but the French people would just do American accents. Mainly because a French accent is easy to get wrong and is.
Oh yes.
And for the people here,
I'm pretty good at the French accent, considering my roommate's French.
Well, of course. I mean, you're a serious actor, so you want to study those things.
And I've been hearing it every day for the past 6 months.
Yes, which is good, though. I mean, that is supposed to be fantastic.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, but I have to say, in watching some Japanese-made movies and then watching the 47 Ronin felt very Western, and it felt. It felt very modern movie formulaic in its plot.
That felt fun.
Yeah. I mean, the sword fighting was great, but there actually wasn't as much sword fighting as I had hoped.
Speaking of modern stuff, though, you've probably seen, I have recently started watching Sherlock.
Yay! I am so thrilled.
I'm in the middle of Hounds of Baskerville right now.
Isn't that just mind trippy?
Wait till
you get to the end. Wait till you get to the end. Your mind's.
Oh, I can't wait. But I love it.
Not say anything.
I love how they made. Okay, I love the Sherlock. I love Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock more than almost more. Okay, as much, slightly more. I don't know. I still need to see the other Sherlock movie, but Robert Downey Jr.
Wait,
they're going head to head right now.
You haven't?
I haven't seen the second Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, but that one was actually even better. The second one was better than the first one, in my opinion.
I really liked all the tips of the hat, though. I don't know. I really liked the tips of the hats they had to the old Sherlock. Like, I like how he said the game is on instead of the game is afoot. I was like, okay, that's cool. And he only said it in the first episode, and they made the constant jokes of, I'm not your housekeeper, I'm your landlord. Perfect. Love that running joke. But I do like how they didn't introduce the floppy hat till the second season, and it was only for a split second. Sherlock didn't want his face to be seen on camera, and he put this hat on, and every time he sees the picture of it, he's like, I want to kill something. He literally looks like, every time they show him the picture, it looks like the camera or the paper, whatever they showed him, is going to catch on fire, just from his eyes.
Have you, I've forgotten his name, but have you seen the old Sherlock? Who did a lot of stuff for the BBC?
Does he make a cameo in it?
No. I'm talking about the old Sherlock Holmes that the BBC has done.
Like black and white?
Yeah, they had some color ones too. I'm gonna have to look up his name. I'm gonna have to look up his name. My dad.
I've only seen Basil Rathbone.
Yeah,
I've only seen Basil Rathbone. Is it Basil Rathbone?
I think it's Basil Rathbone.
Yeah, I've seen Basil Rathbone.
He's great.
Have you seen him in Robin Hood?
No.
With Errol Flynn, he plays the sheriff, or does he play the sheriff? I think he plays the sheriff. He might play Guy Gisborne, I don't remember. But he has a sword fight with Errol Flynn. It's really cool.
Awesome.
Really good actor. I kind of feel like he could have been an Inspector Javert in another life.
That would be interesting.
Actually, he might have played Inspector Javert. I might have spoken out of turn. Now that I think about it. Well, do you have anything else to talk about?
I am trying to find that actor's name. Jeremy Brett. Brett.
Basil Rathbone.
Not Basil.
No, I have not seen it.
You need to see Jeremy Brett. He is an intense Sherlock Holmes.
Okay. Have you seen the young Sherlock Holmes?
No, I've not.
That was pretty. It was interesting, and you would like it. Okay, it's a little out there. It's pretty much a kid's adventure movie, except Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, the lovely little tips of the hats and stuff. But the thing I loved most about it was at the end, it gave a disclaimer saying that Sir, oh gosh, I can't believe I just blanked out on his name.
Sir...
The author. How did I just do that?
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yeah, Sir Arthur. They did a disclaimer saying Sir Arthur Conan Doyle did not write about the meeting of the young Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, and this was just a dramatic interpretation of what they thought it would be like, and that all rights still remained to him and stuff. I was like, well, that is really cool.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're probably going to be getting a slew of really bad Sherlock Holmes stories, but a good number of the Sherlock Holmes stories are now in the public domain, so the character can be used. However, there are still some stories after a certain date which are still protected.
Protected.
Oh, you know.
Not withheld. They're protected.
Like Hound of the Baskerville.
I still need to read that. I'm probably going to read that after I finish watching this episode of Sherlock.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, have you heard of the new TV series Elementary?
Nope.
Starring Johnny Lee Miller.
Nope, and never heard of that guy either.
Okay, gonna say this. I haven't watched it. My dad really likes it. Watson is female.
Wait, what?
Watson is female, and Sherlock Holmes has come to New York, and Watson is his psychiatrist.
That is interesting.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna have to, yeah, okay. Elementary. Elementary, you say, dear Christopher? Elementary, my dear Kirtan? Elementary. You know, I was watching the one scene. Yeah. I was watching the one scene in the one episode, I can't remember. But if you and I were ever roommates, I could totally see it happening. That moment when Watson comes home and Sherlock is sitting on the couch firing a gun at the wall. And he's like, what are you doing? He's just like, bored. Throws the gun, bored, picks it back up, bored, and with every board he fires a shot at the wall.
I knew from the moment you said us roommates, I'm like, he's going to talk about that scene.
Christopher just comes in with a bag of groceries. He's like, nope, you're not bored. We're going to find you something to do. I need it. What do you need? I need it. You're like, oh, you think he needs cigarettes. I need it. I need a case. And you're just like, oh, nope, never mind.
Honestly, I think there's a little bit of the psycho Sherlock in both of us.
Well, I will say it this way. You would totally be the psycho Sherlock who's sitting naked, wrapped in a blanket, telling Watson to carry this laptop around and show him the different locations of the crime scene because he doesn't feel like leaving the house. And I'd just be sitting there at the camera like, hey, you're like, tilt it up. A little higher. No. Show me face level with him. You just take the camera, and I just throw the laptop to the detective and walk away. No.
I probably wouldn't be naked, but sitting like in pajamas, unshowered, be like, move it this way, move it that way. Hang on a minute, I gotta go make myself tea. Just like totally like spend 20 minutes, come back. Okay, where are we? Go back to exactly where we were when I last spoke to you. That's half a mile that way. Yep.
Click. Are you even looking at the video? No. Click.
We are psycho. We are totally psycho.
Oh, we are. Well, I think this is a wrap.
Yeah, for this one.
So check out our Facebook page, the Poe-Cast, hyphen between Poe and Cast. If you have any suggestions what we should talk about, send us an email at thepocast2119@gmail.com. Check out our YouTube channel and check out our Twitter.
Yes, and maybe by the time that the show goes live, iTunes.
Maybe iTunes, yeah. Yay! Hello, iTunes. If we make it far.
And please bring me sushi.
Bring both of us sushi.
Both of us sushi.
We will turn you into golden Poes that are not in jars if you bring us sushi.
I don't know how they want to be posed, but okay. Hey,
well,
I've got to say before we go, I really want to make the Poe salesman costume as a cosplay.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
right. And I'm Christopher.
And this is the Poe-Cast.
And we are done.